Hey guys, so today we got Daniel Parker here with he's a Nomad Recruiters Academy student, has been really successful with his business. So look, man, I brought you on today. I want to talk to you a little bit about your experience, your background. Man, how are you doing?
Hey man, thanks for having me. It's
Yeah,
been good. It's been good. It's been an
yeah,
eye-opening process getting in the course and figuring out kind of what I was doing wrong. Um,
yeah,
it's helped my business tremendously to get the information from this course and be able to speak with you and learn, how I was uh kind of how to get over some of these shortcomings.
yeah. That's good to hear, man. So I'm just curious, man. How did you come across me? And I want to know a little bit about what were you doing before you started doing staffing recruitment as well?
So I've kind of been in the entrepreneur world for a while.
Yeah.
I was in e-commerce, then public company management consulting,
Yeah.
e-commerce consulting, and at the beginning of COVID, I was running a marketing company,
Yeah.
and COVID just really just destroyed the company. It was
Everybody. Whew.
so just like everybody else, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next,
Yeah.
and one tiny fragment of our business had succeeded, which was staffing and recruiting.
Mm.
And I really didn't know much about it. I kind of came into it, just lucked into it.
Mhm.
And as I went down this journey to start growing this business, I realized that there was this huge challenge in how do you find these people? How do you reach these people?
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing, which most millennials my age do, is we went to YouTube,
Yeah.
and and YouTube made a recommendation, and that helped me find you. And almost immediately after that, I went and tracked you down on Facebook, and you
Yeah.
said, "Hey, I'm doing this course," and I
Yep.
said, "Sign me up. Can we sign me up now?" And you're like, "Well, it's not out
Yeah.
yet." So I was pretty eager to get in there and learn how a real pro does operates in this business.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You when you met me, I was still building the course. That video on YouTube had, I think it's at 20,000 views right now. And I was just making videos, man, to just to start making some extra money. I didn't think the video was gonna take off. People start asking me over and over, "Do you have a course?" So I think I started building a course, and that's when you reached out to me. I was like, "Well, I'm taking on 5 beta students right now. Do you want to be a part of the beta program?" And if anybody don't know what a beta program is, it's just where you take students and you teach them everything that you're using in the course to see if it actually works. And it seems like it worked pretty well for you, Daniel. So you were doing e-commerce as well, and then you started your business. You started your business, and I think I met you at a time because we go over a lot of hiring VAs and virtual assistants. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that because you're one of my students who probably has the most experience with it, and use a lot of that in your business today. So I guess walk me through your thoughts on using VAs in the Philippines and how it has helped you, grow your business or scale your business.
So to best explain that, we have to kind of go back to
Hmm.
my last company.
Hmm.
I had started an e-commerce with a partner, and we were scaling really rapidly.
Yeah.
And we were based on the West Coast, and we had all these East Coast needs that we just couldn't get people to fill. We had some research needs, we had some customer service needs, and one of the people we were working with turned me on to VAs. So he introduced me to my first personal assistant,
Yeah.
and my growth trajectory just accelerated massively.
Right.
Like, instead of doing prospecting and a lot of these things during the week, I was able to offload some of that.
Mm.
Fast forward 5 years later, and I'm fully invested in developing like offshore specialist relationships, to build my team. So today, we've made a business out of that, and we started finding high talent specific things like CPAs,
Mm.
um, CEO assistants,
Mhm.
marketers, and different high skilled labor out of the Philippines for our client company.
Mm.
Internally, I'm the only one in the US that works here. The rest of my people
Yeah.
are all in the Philippines, and they run our whole back office.
Wow, man. Wow. And a lot of people have reservations when it still to this day when it comes to hiring people. I don't know if it's a stereotype or it's just like $3 an hour or $5 an hour. And it's just, I think I think people throw out that number, but there are people in the Philippines who make 10, 15, $20 an hour who are fluent in English and just as hard workers as your average American or foreigner, that you can think of. But I think you know, sometimes there's a bad taste sometimes when people think about hiring people overseas. And, it's good that we're talking about this because we're helping people understand that it's actually not bad. It's somewhat better, I feel like, because I personally feel like people in the Philippines work harder than us, if I could be honest.
So that's one of the fears and challenges we go
Yeah.
over with our clients in our business, because they go, well, how do we know what they're doing? How do we know if it's a good investment? How do we know if the ROI is good? And specific to people in the Philippines, um, if you're paying somebody, let's say $3 an hour is the out of school college student. Okay. $3 an hour out of school college student, that's a minimum 22, 23 bucks in the US,
Mhm.
right? So you draw that disparity. That's a $20 difference. That's $20 an hour you're making per hour to overcome this challenge of working with someone that's not right in front of your face.
Right.
So these people want to work. The average family of four in the Philippines makes about $2.75 an hour.
Yeah.
So what do? We go and we hire people minimum of $5, and we're able to get really talented people for our clients and our different internal roles.
Yeah.
So when we sell that, right, when we sell that service, we have to package them with IT, payroll, insurance, support, all these different things, because we're selling to other people. So that adds our profit margin on top of that.
Yeah.
For people that are looking to hire a VA, you can use the same skills that you learn in this course to qualify those people. And then all you need after that is a tool like Time Doctor. And Time Doctor lets you see everything this person's doing while they're on the clock for you. It lets you measure their hours. It lets you see everything there is to see about them. And then your last hurdle to overcome is teaching them what you need them to do. And I think this course does a really good job of outlining processes and procedures to teach to these people to be effective. But something a lot of people in this course don't realize is you can have a person prospect for leads, make the cold call to the candidates, qualify them based on a set of things, and they're going to speak in, you can get people that sound just like Americans that speak to 20, 30 candidates a day, and you're focused on the rainmaker job. Rainmaker job in recruiting is building business relationships with the hiring people in the US.
Right. And it's also, to touch on that topic of people of having your VAs work for you. Like everyone is so on automation right now. And I teach automation in the program, but it's not the only thing you should be relying on. If you can start a team where someone can call 50 candidates or 50 clients for you a day, you're tripling your productivity, because now you have automation, you have a virtual team, and now your business, that's how it starts to grow. It's about volume. I think a lot of people get into this industry and they just want to focus on one thing. They're like, I'm just going to make 100 calls a day. And that's what recruitment is. And it's like, that's the old way. That's the Deco, the Robert Half, the Robert Walters, and this, and now we're more modern, we're more up to date with, how advanced recruitment has come. I want to talk to you, your niche is very unique. And, you're actually the only student in my program that has a specialized niche. I know you work on various roles sometimes, but you have a niche that really stands out. And I'm just curious to know, how did you get there with that niche? Is it from your past job, or did you just see the potential of that niche growing? Because I think a lot of people struggle with picking a specialization or don't understand the importance of it as well.
Sure, absolutely. So typically when we decide what step we're going to take forward, we kind of look to our past or what our experience is. My experience has always been around web and digital and the support roles in that. So me being a developer for my early career, I deal with a lot of those types of people. I understand what their qualifications and concerns are. And then over the last 2, 3 years, we've seen Shopify just kind of blow up into this big thing,
Yeah.
right? Shopify, it went from the small part of the internet to close to 45% of all e-commerce sites.
Hmm.
So that being the main area that we focus on, or our main client base, I can speak to those business owners, those CEOs, those venture cap guys, and talk to them about the problems they're experiencing in their business without necessarily having to ask a ton of questions.
Yeah.
And part of that is sharing my experience in that area.
Mm.
When we get into other subcategories of that, like accounting, I rely on the subject matter experts of the people around me to be able to speak intelligently about that, because e-commerce specifically as a business,
Yeah.
a lot of these people are very savvy at hiring because
Hmm.
these roles didn't exist 10 years ago. They didn't
Yeah.
understand any of this stuff.
It didn't
So,
exactly.
so I bring about 15 years of experience from that field,
Hmm.
and IT management and
Hmm.
team growth to be able to come in and give them more of a business consultation. So how I differentiate from standard recruiters is I come in and I help them define what those roles should be like and how to actually make that transition into working with people that aren't right in front of them.
Exactly. And it's also it's just important for people to understand as well, when you do choose a niche, especially from a background that you come from, as when you're starting your agency, clients want to work with you more. If you were for example, if you're working on a software engineer role and you were a previous software engineer, they're going to want to work with you because you know what they need. It's not like a recruiter who just goes out and look at the job description. You're able to actually talk to the tech team, the dev team, the CTO. It depends on your niche and your specialization. But when you're an expert in the subject matter, you're more in demand than the recruiter who just has the title and just looking for someone on a piece of paper. You actually know what they need. I'm curious to, I haven't asked one of my students this just yet on like one of these calls or these Zoom interviews, but I'm curious to know, man, what do you enjoy about working for yourself? Man, like, and I don't think we need to talk about that more. Like, how has life changed for you since you started being in control of your schedule?
So I, I'm kind of probably a little bit of a special case
Yeah.
because I've worked for myself since 2012. I've had obligations to partners and other things, but the biggest struggle to overcome was time management. And once you master time management, the
Yeah.
whole stress of what you're supposed to be doing and when
Yeah.
washes away, because you are the captain of your own ship. And when you're the captain of your own ship, you plot the course, and there are no major surprises along the way.
Yeah.
You don't have people calling and screaming at you because a report wasn't in when it needed to be, because you have a plan behind everything.
Yeah.
And I would say that's one of the biggest challenges of working for yourself, is
Mhm.
controlling and being productive with your time, but also analyzing
Mhm.
where you're spending your time to make it better.
Yeah.
And since I'm probably 4 years into really sharing just my own company, no support, anything like that, and only about a year into this venture, that has been a learning lesson and a huge just bonus in my life. So now when I want to go to New York City and work from Times Square, I can do that. Next week, I'm going to Vegas and I'm going to work with some clients in Vegas. The week after that, or 2 weeks after that, I'll be in London for a week working with some people in the UK. And then I'm going to be in Alabama. So I'm I'm a little bit old school. I like to meet with people face to face if I know the opportunity is there. And that's sometimes how I like to close the deal, but it's a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And with freedom, there comes the responsibility of driving stuff forward.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's sometimes it can't too much freedom because
Yeah.
you're not waking, especially when you're not waking up at 8 or 9 o'clock anymore. But it's just, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, man, to be there for family, for friends, for your partner. You know, you can be there more. We work so much, and we don't realize, man, how short life is with everything going on. You know, a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. You know, that are always interested in signing up to the program, but they're always hesitant. You know, they're always hesitant to take action. And, you know, I wanted to ask you about, you know, why people should take action on starting their business now or believing in themselves, even if it's not joining my program. I always tell people when they talk to me on my free 45-minute call, I always tell them, hey, even if you don't sign up with me, get started. Even if you know, like whoever my competitor is, go buy their course, get started. Like, because you're thinking about it, it's on your mind, and you know, you got to take action. But I guess, you know, what are your thoughts, or what advice would you give to people out there who are hesitant or taking action on their dreams and making things happen because they're afraid to fail?
So let's break that down for a second.
Yeah.
Most people want to work for themselves to
Hmm.
create freedom, but
Right.
in typical business, we create a business so that
Hmm.
we can grow it and sell it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with a recruiting business. You grow it up and then eventually you sell it. You
Yeah.
could work 10 years in the highest paying job that you could be and never come anywhere close to the potential of selling something you built yourself.
Exactly.
So there's not only the benefit of freedom, but
Hmm.
there's also the benefit of having a goal to shoot for that is bigger than I need money in my pocket right now. The
Yeah.
goal is to build something bigger than yourselves and then push it out there into the world so that it can be successful.
Right. Right. And what about the fear that people have? I mean, like the fear of failing, the fear of, you know, not making it, you know, because you, I mean, you had a lot of unsuccessful stories before you know, when you first started. We all have. uh, but you still, you know, you prospered and you know, conquer and came over a lot of obstacles when you got started, man.
Um, I wouldn't say that I'm a special case, but uh, part of it is just being dedicated to learning from
Yeah.
mistakes and being able to deal with risk. I mean, there is risk in not being able to pay your mortgage next month,
Yeah.
but the reward, if you put everything that you are, your heart and soul into it, you
Mhm.
can come out 5 times, 6 times ahead. And the
Yeah.
biggest thing, the biggest secret, I think, to starting your own business is
Mhm.
success snowballs.
Yeah.
So you start with this little snowball you got on the ground and you keep pushing it, and it becomes into this huge thing where right now I've got a team of 6 and all sorts of placements out in the field. If I
Yeah.
want to take a week off, the business is going to continue to grow without me. And
Yeah.
that right there is the dream that I aspired for going out on my own. But I understood that the risk was that I might not be able to make my wife happy for a little bit, or I have to spend time away from her to put work
Yeah.
in, or I need to find a different way to cover these sets of bills. So
Mhm.
what I kind of recommend to everybody
Mhm.
is when you decide to start a side business that is going to become your main business, try to keep some normal employment going while you learn the ropes and you get experienced.
Mhm.
And then once you've built it up enough, then make the switch and fully commit. So
Yeah.
I kind of went through that process. I did my own consulting, my own work, and now
Mhm.
I'm almost ready to make the full switch to focus on this business 100%. And it takes a lot of the fear out of it. Like
Yeah.
when you realize that you can use VAs to do some of this prospecting and you
Mhm.
can make some of these client calls on your lunchtime or your time off, it gives you a good chance to get in, and the investment to get the knowledge is very, very low compared to the potential reward. And
Wow.
you've done this for, how many years? You've done this for a long time. To be able to have you as a resource and to have your teachings in this course have
Yeah.
been instrumental in helping me reduce that risk, right?
Yeah.
The course reduces the risk of going out on your own, and it gives you a tool set to be successful.
It does. And I want to talk to you. I think we often hear a lot of recruitment coaches online constantly talking about clients this, how to find clients, but we never really. This is my opinion, but I feel that candidates are the most more important portion of recruitment, because our job is supply demand. We need a product to sell. We need a candidate. And I want to talk to you about the importance of candidate management, understanding your candidates and asking the right questions, and why it's so important to help your business grow, and how it can help you also seek out more opportunities with your company, because you have a lot of great relationships with your candidates. You stay in touch with them, they know you, you check on them. So I want
So,
to talk to you about that. Yeah.
so every person you've ever met in your life,
Hmm.
essentially a potential sellable product
Hmm.
business. So my very first step was to go back to all the people that I know with good resumes and
Hmm.
then try to find jobs around them.
Yeah.
Then I started posting jobs to find other great candidates.
Yeah.
Then I scaled up into outreach and
Yeah.
started to experiment with the different tools. But what I've found is when I find a great candidate, the
Hmm.
jobs are plentiful. There's a
Yeah.
ton of positions out there that would love to have these great candidates, but it's an exercise in volume. I mean,
Yeah.
we right now, just on a given day, we're screening through almost 100 candidates to find that person that follows the instruction. I would say my secret tip there is to put an instruction to the candidate in the job or the job form request or the job
Yeah.
posting, whatever it is, to say, make the subject of your email to us blue sky or something like that, or how
Yeah.
many colors are in the rainbow. We've done that as like our cursory first thing to ask people when we did
Yeah.
job postings. And when we do outreach, we kind of just roll that into our first process. But it is a volume game. It is a
Yeah.
volume game. And
It's,
COVID has made it great because now there's this plethora of people that
yeah.
uh, enjoy the work from home, and they're getting asked to come back to the office, and they're like, you know what? I would rather take my talents to some place that's going to let me stay right here and make the same money or make better money.
So you said something that was on the tip of my tongue, but COVID has increased the potential for recruitment. Like, I've been telling people left and right, now's the time to get into recruitment, especially with unemployment just cutting off 7.5 million people off on unemployment. So they gotta work.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta ask yourself, like, well, who's going to be the people to help them get jobs? It's people like us, but it's not that many of us in the market, man. We can't help everyone. Like, it's money to be made out there, but we don't like to overwhelm ourselves. But we need more agency owners, to be honest, at the end of the day. Besides, and then when it comes to us and the giants in the game, people rather work with us because our fees are more competitive. I do, of course, I have clients that pay 25, 30%, but I also have the freedom to control my fee price because I work for myself. I can work at a 15 or 18% on the job, and a client may most likely, choose me over a Robert Half or a Robert Walters, and I can at least win that job. So it's also to understand the importance of pricing and just being in control of your company at the end of the day. You I wanted to talk to you about, so you've done some amazing placements this year. I think you say you're roughly at about 300K in sales, in mixed with recruitment and consulting. And I wanted to talk to you about that, because I think a lot of people don't understand that there's so many forms of recruitment that you can do outside of just hiring for people. And and without giving all my secrets away in the course, I do teach those things, but but it's amazing. I mean, just to talk about the consulting side of things, a lot of people don't realize, you can do things like become an RPO for a company, for example, So a lot of companies, startup companies, usually they don't have HR or or recruitment teams. So they usually look for companies sometimes, like recruitment agencies to be they'll form an RPO agreement where you have exclusive rights to recruit for that company and do all the hiring for that company. You can consult that company on how to structure their hiring needs, or you can help build out an HR team. You can become the talent acquisition for that company, with a partnership through your agency as well. It's so many forms of recruitment that you can do when you start your agency. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, because you've been really successful and not just relying on your sales from placements, but also a diversity of incomes within your agency.
So first, when we approach a customer, when I approach a customer, I always approach it as a consultant. And I
Right.
found that when you bring value to somebody right out the gate, they're less resistant to your advances, right? So a good example of what that might look like is asking them what challenges they have in their business and what they need help with. Like, are you having problems with people? Are you having problems meeting a budgetary guideline, stuff like that? So inside a company, wherever you position yourself, whether it's next to the CEO or a hiring manager, they all have a different set of needs and concerns. The hiring manager generally gets a team build out that they need to make, and then they have to transfer that into job descriptions. And typically they fail really hard on making good job descriptions, which is what opens the opportunity for us.
Sure.
So first off, if you soft sell as a business consultant and say that you work with companies just like them to help them define and grow their teams, that's a much easier sell than, hey, I'm a recruiter, are you hiring? Right? So when I lead in with somebody, specifically like marketing companies, I say, hey, do you guys partner with any staffing or recruiting firms to meet your needs? And they go, yes or no, or not right now. And I say, oh, well, are you guys looking for any part-time, or what are your needs? Because if I get that conversation going, people are really quick to open up about their problems if they're comfortable with you. So just depending on who you're talking to in the client company, the CEO is concerned about making sales and reducing costs, right? So not having to hire 20 people to meet something, but hiring the strategic people that they need. So inside my niche, I know how to grow those companies because I've done it several times. So I can speak to them on a one-on-one basis and say, look, if you tried this strategy over here, you would get a good result. Now, the back half of that equation is you need to be the benefactor of all of those strategies that you offer. So if somebody needs a graphics designer, then you need to be able to source a freelance graphics designer that's part-time and make money in that situation. If somebody has an IT project to build a huge piece of software, in my case, I don't do the software developers in a staffing component. So I made an affiliate partnership with another company where they give me a large chunk of the revenue. And that's become a huge, and it's entirely own revenue stream that's passive, right? So now we're doing 5, 10K a month passive, referring off a set of our needs to somebody else. We operate in our niche, which is direct hire and VA staffing, and we focus on that. But even if somebody says, we don't need what you need, I have some place to send it, or I have a business consultant relationship, which pays just as much as us managing it internal.
Understand that. And I want to talk to you about, I always like talking about the importance of understanding red flags. And I talk a lot about this in the course. And I wanted to get one, it could be a candidate or client story, either or, of the importance of red flags, a recruitment story of a situation you was in, how you learned from it, how you overcame it, but why it's so important to understand red flags and learn from a program or a course like Nomad Recruiters Academy, that can just prevent you from situations, again. So it could be either or, candidate or client. I'm just curious. I want to know at least one story.
So one that comes to mind that I had discussed with you was client wasn't signing a term sheet right away.
Okay.
And you immediately go, red flag, dude. You need to, I'm paraphrasing a little bit there, but clients that don't immediately sign the term sheet or take action on what you're offering,
Yeah.
first big red flag that they're not going to be able to execute on what you're putting forward. That to me has been like the guiding principle that I can tell if somebody's good or bad. Or unresponsive in email, huge red flag.
I don't know if you remember, I think we had that conversation months back, but I remember telling you the importance of blank or blind resumes. And a lot of recruiters, when they watch my channel or they watch other recruitment coaches, I think a lot of people just get out here. They're like, I'm just going to be a recruiter. They find a person, they send it to the company, and they don't protect themselves. And if you guys don't know, a blank or a blind resume is when you take a candidate's resume and you take off, any information that can identify them to protect yourselves. Because sometimes some clients, as you guys have seen from my student Gabe, they can just try to find that candidate and call them themselves. So you always want to protect your candidate when you're sending over those resumes. And it gives you control of the situation if the client never signs your terms as well. So it's just but red flags are so important, man. So we also offer, group coaching calls, and they're pretty optional, but you hop on when you can. But I want to get your opinion on the importance of the group coaching calls. How, do they benefit you, being that I'm there twice a week whenever you need me, how's it helped you as well while in the program?
So early in my career, I didn't see the value of going to meetups and stuff like that. And now that I'm older and wiser, anytime you have a chance to get in a room of people that struggle with the same problems you do, you will learn something immensely valuable. And it can be the simplest thing, just some gap in your knowledge that gets filled in on one of these coaching calls, and you just run back and you change 3 or 4 things, and then the system works. Like things start to flood through and work well. But sometimes you have to hear the problem presented from 3 or 4 different points of view before you get the answer that you need to be successful. So with the coaching calls, when I'm able to attend, I always take away something that I take back to my team, and we're like, okay, guys, we're gonna modify this, right? Good example: people relying too heavily on automation, right? LinkedIn has that 100 cap. How do we get around that? So the information I pulled out of there helped me come up with a more diverse strategy, which helped me drive that forward. And now we're 3, 4, 5 times where we were as far as outreach.
Yeah. It's also important to understand, man. I talk about a lot of different strategies, but LinkedIn even though LinkedIn is the #1 platform for recruiters, it's really becoming, the bad parent now. Like, it's so many rules. It's hard to get around a lot of things, and you're gonna have to be able to adapt around just relying on automation, because not just it's actually not 100 cap anymore. Daniel, I don't know if you know, it's like 30 or 40 now. But there are ways around it, but we're not going to discuss it on here. But it's 30, but it's 30 or 40 with a lot of automation tools now, meaning that you can only connect with 30 people or 40 people a day. You can't even send out 100, emails. It's just so many rules. So it's important to understand other strategies to help grow your business. So look, we're gonna finish up, man. One last question, Daniel, man. Anybody out there that's really thinking about taking action, starting their business, or joining the program, especially with COVID and everything going on right now, we may go into another lockdown. People may get fired from their job again this winter. I mean, it's gonna be a great year for us. But anyone that's really thinking about taking action, what would be your advice, man? Because you're one of those people who just took that leap of faith, and you went through the struggles, and now you're doing really well. So, any advice for the people out there, and we can finish up?
So this business not only is not going away, but it succeeds when everything else fails. Like if
Hmm.
we look at the real estate market right now, it's going through this huge blast. And then the eviction crisis is like right on the front door,
Yep.
right? What happens when you have that thing? People need jobs, they need money, they need to go out there and seek additional employment. We
Yep.
had the unemployment thing come out, and a lot of people are now in the job market again, and
Wow.
it raises the competition. It makes it easier on us because we have a larger sample set to pull from. So no matter what happens the next 3 to 4 years, this
Mhm.
is going to be the hottest market anywhere. It's going to be the hottest market, the easiest sell,
It
the
is.
easiest place to succeed, build a business, and be successful.
And it feels good.
It
You know
does.
what I mean? Like it feels good to help somebody.
It does. It
It
does.
it does.
Everybody knows somebody that's unemployed right now, you know?
Yeah, man. It feel like it's just like I just don't think we talk about that a lot. I know we always talk about, I mean, like speakers, recruiter coaches and stuff. We always talk about the money, but it genuinely, like, I used to work for McDonald's in high school. I was a salesperson selling people stuff. But I'm like, dude, like I'm really helping somebody, and I'm contributing to the pandemic. You're right. Everything that's fell, man. Everything. We need more nurses. We need more doctors. We need more real estate agents. We need and who do they call? It's the recruiters. They don't talk about us. We go by many names: headhunters, recruiters. So but we're the ones, man. We're the glue that really ties the world together, man. Look, Daniel, man, I want to appreciate you and thank you for coming on today, brother. Hey, man, I can't wait to hear more successful stories and wish you more success, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.